Gender-based violence is any form or act of violence against a person because of their gender or violence that affects persons of a particular gender disproportionately. It is the most pervasive yet visible human rights violation in the world. It includes physical, sexual, mental, or economic harm inflicted on a person because of socially ascribed power imbalance between males and females. The COVID-19 pandemic and its attendant consequences impacted humanity in many ways hitherto unprecedented. When governments worldwide opted for a lockdown, little was it known that it could lead to another pandemic of sorts. Local and international media reported a sharp spike in rape and other forms of sexual and gender-based violence, SGBV, worldwide. According to experts, data showed an increase in all types of violence against women and girls, domestic violence being the highest form of such abuse. UN Women says 1 in 3 women experience physical or sexual violence, mostly by an intimate partner. Violence against women is a human rights violation. Everyone has a role to play in curbing it. Starting in November 2019, Governor Babajide and Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, as the first couple of Lagos State, led a walk against sexual and gender-based violence in the state.
It's a crime against humanity. It's a crime when you are caught that you have been involved either in rape, either in sexual violence, either in child abuse, either in domestic violence. In itself is a crime. And so we are using this advocacy to warn and to tell people to desist from it, to stay clear of it, because a full arm of law will be brought to bear on anybody or any institution or in any form that is found wanting. And so that's why all of us have come here this morning resolute.
By February 2020, just before the lockdown, the First Lady Sanwo-Olu and the Deputy Governor's wife Oluremi Hamzat joined other stakeholders in a walk to end violence against children, male and female.
Say no to sexual violence. Say no to child abuse. Say no to child abuse. Say no to child labor.
As the momentum grew, so did awareness in society about gender-based violence. On June 11, 2020, an unprecedented all-male walk against rape and gender-based violence convened by men of good conscience held in Lagos.
It is therefore most reassuring to welcome this all-men delegation rising up to be counted for a good cause by participating in this awareness campaign aimed at highlighting the importance of men to join the fight against sexual and gender-based violence. We received the news of 2 rape cases of a 2-year-old child and that of an 18-year-old female in Lagos with great sadness. And since the receipt of this news, we have not relented in our efforts to ensure that protection is given, as well as follow up on this case to see that these girls get justice.
We have come together as men to say enough is enough. No means no. Real men do not rape. And we are going to spread this message across this nation. So help us God.
Amen. Apart from Ikeja, the state capital, the all-male campaign against SGBV spread to other parts of Lagos. Surulere and Bariga have been reached. Signposts declaring the locality a rape-free zone were erected in the areas. Building on the gains recorded, the First Lady coordinated the Lagos State Stakeholders Movement against all forms of SGBV through a series of meetings and brainstorming sessions. These culminated in the annual Lagos GBV Week, as well as the global annual 16-day activism to eliminate all forms of violence against women and girls. #OrangeTheWorld. The First Lady galvanized relevant public sector MDAs and the private sector to fashion out strategies to ramp up response, ensure necessary care for victims, and prompt justice to perpetrators. The Novel Lagos GBV Week featured a press conference attended by stakeholders in the state. They included traditional rulers, Supreme Muslim Council, Christian Association of Nigeria (CAN), National Union of Road Transport Workers (NURTW), hoteliers and Recreational Service Providers Union, among others.
We have had discussions with the MDAs. We have discovered where the challenges are, the bottlenecks, so which is the way forward. And that is why during this Activist Week, we are going out there to walk the walk, talk the talk, dance the dance, do the do. We are going there. We are going to visit the community, the women groups. We will have discussions with them via the webinar. Anywhere they are talking domestic violence, you will be seeing me and my sister. We will show our face. We will be there.
The First Lady and Mrs. Hamzat visited the office of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team, DSVRT, in Alausa, Ikeja. The week also featured visits to collaborative communities in the Lagos anti-SGBV ecosystem. They include the Office of the Public Defender of PD, Gender Desk of the Nigeria Police County, and the proposed shelter sites for victims of domestic violence being spearheaded by the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation WAPA. The shelter is a major highlight of the First Lady's collaborative efforts towards ending gender-based violence. The First Lady and her team toured local government areas and local council development areas at Egbeda, Alimosho local government, which had been recording high rape cases. Mrs. Sanwo-Olu canvassed for a reduction in crimes and assaults against women.
Alimosho local government, a rape-free zone. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost.
A beautiful round of applause, please, for our deputy.
By this unveiling, Alimosho became the third local government area hosting a rape-free zone sign. Residents of Alimosho were further enlightened on various initiatives to curb SGBV during the community sensitization at the Alimosho General Hospital, Igondo. On the 9th of December 2020, the Lagos State House of Assembly held a public hearing on the bill for the establishment of the Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency and the Sex Offenders Register. Representatives of the First Lady participated actively in the session. When passed into law, the agency will not only name and shame perpetrators of SGBV crimes, it will also provide medical and legal support to victims. The First Lady's office pushed for the launch of the Rape Fund for Victims of Sexual Violence. It will be implemented through the Lagos State Health Scheme, LSHS. It covers some services required by survivors of sexual assault. However, medical services not covered by the LSHS will be handled by the Rape Fund. This will include initial medical intervention for the physical trauma, including medical consultation, testing and treatment of sexually transmitted infections, pregnancy tests, emergency contraception, HIV testing, and post-exposure prophylaxis. The survivor will also be enrolled into the LSHS on family or individual plan for additional support. The campaign was extended to the youth and active users of the new media via a 14-day social media initiative against SGBV. Informative contents were disseminated to educate the people on relevant laws, actions that constitute abuse, where reports can be made, the victim support system in the state, among others. Celebrities drawn from the public and private sectors signed onto the campaign. A compendium of gender-based violence in Lagos State was presented to Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu in November 2020. The compendium highlighted efforts of the Inter-Ministerial Stakeholders Committee on SGBV, leading to the Comprehensive Action Plan to drastically reduce SGBV. These include the provision of rape kits and victim support system, as well as a list of laws that protect women and children, amongst others. For the First Lady, her vision is a society where sexual and gender-based violence is reduced to the barest minimum. She believes that this can be achieved through unrelenting collaborations with relevant stakeholders. In this light, utility vehicles were presented to partner stakeholders to further deepen the campaign. Further, during the year 2021, Dr. Mrs. Sanwo-Olu took the anti-SGBV campaign to the following stakeholders: the chambers of the State Chief Judge, the State Police Command, Dolphin Junior and Senior High Schools, Ajay Comprehensive Junior and Senior High Schools, Sisiyara Child Advocacy Foundation, and God's Home Foundation. There was also a sensitization campaign attended by 1,000 members of the NURTW at its headquarters in Okwoba, Agege.
No is no. What did I say? No is no. No is no. And that's what we are preaching. When a female child or a boy child says no means no, I don't want you to touch my breast. I don't want you to touch my bum. I don't want you to touch my private place. No means no. That's the justice.
Directorate of Family Health and Nutrition, Lagos State Ministry of Health. Being received by the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Health, Mr. Olusegun Ogbori. Received by the First Lady.
For the year 2022, all-going engagements were sustained towards the reduction of gender-based violence against women in the state. This was especially extended beyond the borders of Lagos State when 5,000 copies of SGBV publications were distributed at the APC Southwest Women rallies. The Lagos SGBV initiative reverberated in Abuja when the governor and Mrs. Sanwo-Olu were represented at the Hannah Buhari Foundation event. The foundation is a not-for-profit, non-political organization concerned with issues of rape in Nigeria. It was founded by Mrs. Hannah Muhammad Buhari and her husband, Muhammad Turad Shaban. Mrs. Lola Adeniyi Veva, Executive Secretary of the Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, represented Governor Sanwo-Olu, whilst the duo of Mrs. Bukola Nwana and Mrs. Scholastica Abbas represented the First Lady. Attendance at the event was in commemoration of the year 2022 16-day activism against gender-based violence. It spans through November 25 to December 10 annually. Reducing gender-based violence against women is a responsibility for all. Government cannot do it alone.